Oh cool, the PlayStation Vita is finally charged, and it's time to get into some games. Wait, what's going on? No. PlayStation Mobile? No!
In January 2011, Sony unveiled the next generation portable that would ultimately become the PlayStation Vita. But that was not all they unveiled. Can you guess what else they unveiled?
And the answer is what we're calling PlayStation Suite.
Oh, sorry.
Sony decided that their next big move in the handheld gaming space should not just be one move, but two entirely separate moves that ultimately competed with each other.
Okay.
Right now you're probably wondering what the hell I'm going on about this time. Well, what was originally introduced to us as PlayStation Suite was renamed to PlayStation Mobile after Sony realized that PlayStation Suite sounds fucking dumb.
In order to make things a little less confusing, I will only be using the name PlayStation Mobile from here on out.
PlayStation Suite was a cross-platform software framework based on the popular Mono platform, and it allowed you to play PlayStation certified games on your Android phone. Looking at what was happening in the gaming market, PlayStation Suite was a good idea at the time. During the time of conception of the PlayStation Suite, the mobile gaming market was starting to pick up, along with the rise of stronger smartphones. To get a piece of this delicious mobile market, Sony came up with a PlayStation Suite. It would breach the gap between PlayStation and people who don't care about PlayStation, to show them what they're missing out on, and then maybe they might end up picking up a real PlayStation console. In October 2012, PlayStation Mobile was finally released in most parts of the world, and forever changed history. Apart from allowing you to play an array of PlayStation 1 content on PlayStation Mobile certified devices, there were also numerous original games developed for the platform. According to the smartest and most trustworthy people on the internet, the editors of Wikipedia, there were 683 games available on the service.
Wow! That's more than on the Nokia N-Gage! I think.
Although the wise editors of Wikipedia failed to provide a source for this statement, and I failed to find any list online to confirm it, this statement should be considered the real truth.
I mean, it's Wikipedia. Why would anyone want to lie to me on Wikipedia? That would just be silly.
The service seemed promising, with Sony announcing that there were over 56 established software houses committed to providing content on the PlayStation Mobile platform at E3 2012. Games released through PlayStation Mobile would be available through a PlayStation Store, which would be separate from the regular Android Play Store on your smartphone. This would allow Sony to control what gets released and be associated with them, as games and apps had to pass certain tests in order to become PlayStation certified and be released on the PlayStation Mobile Store. PlayStation Mobile became a haven for developers, especially for those in the indie market, as the licensing fee for developing games on the service was quite affordable. Developers had to pay a fee of around $100, and then they could create as many games as they wanted for the platform for a year. Sony pushed really hard to give indie developers a chance to develop something that can be released under the established PlayStation brand, even hosting an indie games jam that gave the winner a chance to showcase their game at one of Sony's booths at some gaming convention. By May 2013, Sony even sweetened the deal when they decided to waive the licensing fee entirely and allow developers to create games for free for the platform. If there's one thing that I can give credit to Sony for, it is that they really pushed to create opportunities to help developers create for their platform.
Good day, my name is Joe, and I'm about to try and explain that title to you. Maybe.
Games released on PlayStation Mobile had to go through a process in order to become PlayStation certified. This process was more focused on whether or not the game worked, as opposed to the quality of the games, as can be seen on the games shown on the screen. That meant that much like mobile games, there was a lot of shit released, as seen on screen. In order to play these PlayStation Mobile games, a device had to be approved by Sony in order to make sure that the device was not a shitty BlackBerry and could actually run something stronger than a texting app. Requirements included the device running at least Android 2.3, and if Sony felt like it. This meant that you and your shitty iPhone couldn't play Sony games, and that you would have to buy one of Sony's specific mobile phones that met the requirements and got certified for PlayStation Mobile.
I don't know. That sounds an awful lot like a console in disguise.
One cool thing that came from Sony's dive into the mobile gaming market was the Sony Xperia Play, a mobile phone that looks similar to a PSP Go, but you can call people with it. I love the design of this phone. It looked like a normal bulky smartphone, but you could slide it open, revealing an escape from the world. In the beginning, there were ideas that the device would be able to run PSP games, which would have been awesome, but in the end, it only supported PlayStation 1 games and PlayStation Mobile titles. There were a few other mobile brands that also later got PlayStation Mobile certified, such as some HTC devices, and some other brands.
There used to be a list, but someone lost it.
Choices to enjoy PlayStation Mobile on was few and far between. Instead of Sony reaching out to people with the PlayStation Mobile platform, it feels like Sony expected consumers to come to them. You had to buy a specific device from a small pool of available devices, and these devices were not even leaders in the mobile market at the time. I'm not sure what Sony expected from this move, but they should have pushed harder to include more devices across the market instead of limiting the reach to their own platform. The platform was also made available for PlayStation Vita and PlayStation TV, and in 2014, PlayStation Mobile 2.00 would release, and would only be available on those two platforms. It felt like Sony lost sight of why PlayStation Mobile should have existed, and instead made the platform less accessible instead of more accessible. Plus, why would you waste your time playing some crappy PlayStation Mobile game on your PlayStation Vita, when you could be playing a PlayStation Vita game? Much like other mobile games, most games on PlayStation Mobile were cheap. They were meant to be fun little time wasters, also known as mobile games, as opposed to being bigger Sony experiences. With many games being made by indie developers, the development costs for most titles would remain low. This allowed the games to be released for just a few cents or dollars, with some containing in-app purchases, like Savages. There were a few games worth the small price, but we will get into that soon.
Just hold on. We'll take a deeper look at the game soon. Wow, that title was a little bit dramatic. Kinda felt like Sony shut down PlayStation Mobile.
After a long struggle trying to turn consumers away from their product, Sony was finally forced to face the outcome of their actions. In 2015, Sony decided to come out to the world and announce that PlayStation Mobile was being shut down. For reasons no one will ever be able to figure out, the service never managed to pick up as well as the Android Play Store, which was available on most devices including the Sony Xperia Play, or the Apple Store, which was available on a Fruit. In the end, Sony never managed to figure out how to reach their goals of reaching more people with their games.
Again with the dramatic title screens.
Not long after the announcement that PlayStation Mobile was discontinued, the day of reckoning came. In an America ravaged by crime and overcrowded prisons, the government sanctions an annual 12-hour period, during which time all criminal activity, including murder, is legal. James Sandon and his family face the ultimate test when an intruder drags the vicious outside world into their home.
Wait, this is a synopsis to Peter Pan. Sorry about that was my mistake.
In July 2015, the evil Sony empire closed the PlayStation Mobile store, making games unpurchasable. About 20 people went into panic when they could no longer get this game with underwear in the icon. All remaining hope was lost less than 2 months later, on the 10th of September 2015, when the remaining services and the ability to download the games you've already purchased on the PlayStation Mobile store were also removed. Hundreds of games were lost. Most of the good ones found a home on different platforms, but certain games were gone, never to be played again.
Okay, I know I might sound a little bit negative about PlayStation Mobile, but just wait, we'll be taking a look at all the games soon, and that will explain everything.
Sony abandoned their original concept that got derailed, and instead approached it from a different angle. They gave us remote play that allows us to enjoy our PlayStation library wherever we go, as long as we have a good internet connection. It is not an ideal replacement, but it fills a gap left by the lack of a Sony handheld console. They even partnered with Backbone in order to create a PlayStation 5 themed controller for the iPhone. This allows you to basically turn your iPhone into a portable PlayStation by connecting remotely to your PlayStation 4 or 5. Sony also recently launched a new mobile division and acquired Savage Studios, that is a studio that specializes in the mobile gaming space, and they are planning to use them to create new experiences using existing Sony IPs. Even after the failure of their PlayStation mobile platform, Sony has still not given up on getting their piece of the mobile market, and instead are trying to innovate in order to find their place.
And in my opinion, that's something that makes Sony great. Now that you're all caught up with what PlayStation Mobile was, is, and will be, it's time to take a look at about 150 games that released on the PlayStation Mobile platform.
So many games were lost, with no way of acquiring them again. Sony has moved on from PlayStation Mobile, and I doubt that these games will ever make a return, unless they get ported or revived by the original creators. Should we mourn the loss of so many titles, or were these games too lame to preserve in the first place?
Were they any good? Did they deserve their brutal end? Let's take a look. But wait, why is the video already done? No!